Good, good afternoon. Welcome to Facebook Live with the Kansas City Stars Editorial Board. I'm Toriano Porter, your host for the show today. I'm going to be joined today by colleague Michael Ryan. Today we have a very special guest, Pastor Terry Bradshaw, who's going to introduce the family of Neveah Thomas and Brandi Stewart. Pastor, thanks for joining us. Michael, thanks for joining us.
Thank you for having us.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. So, Pastor, we'll start with you. Is Neveah available?
Yes, she is. They are en route. They've had a very full day.
Okay.
Her mother is also with her. They'll be joining us shortly.
Okay, good. Could you just tell us a little bit, Pastor, about some of the things that you've helped the family with for the last couple of days here? Well, I would say last couple of weeks since this incident happened. Yeah.
Yes, we've provided moral support and spiritual support. Of course, they're members of my church, and we've assisted them in getting legal representation and ensuring that justice is had for Neveah. We're in the process of also helping the family plan a kids' walk against racism and hatred, which will be on September 26th. Will be released in the location on tomorrow officially, and then we are also heavily involved with helping the family with counseling and ensuring that they receive healing, not just justice for this heinous crime, but also moral and spiritual support to move on with their lives.
Absolutely. And I noticed when the incident happened, and for our people who don't know, 11-year-old Neveah Thomas is a young African-American girl from Kansas City, Kansas. She was hit with a metal pipe. The alleged perpetrator is a 13-year-old white kid who at the time was 12. He's been charged as a juvenile in the Johnson County District Court. He will face charges. He's on house arrest now. Since that incident, Neveah has shared her story, not only locally, but nationwide. Pastor, can you speak to the strength of young Neveah Thomas as an 11-year-old getting out in front and telling her story?
Oh, it's been incredible. She's been a model of strength. Before this incident happened, Neveah has always been a very unique young lady, always with a smile on her face, always positive. And I remember the first time I saw her after this heinous crime, this hate crime. She was, her mother and her family were really the ones that were more discouraged than she was. She was in a lot of pain, really wondering why this happened to her, but she yet and still was very positive, still believed in showing everybody respect and love. And even in that moment, she was sharing with me and the family how she wanted to be kind of the poster child of letting kids know it's okay to be different. It's okay to have different colors and different opinions. But at the end of the day, we need to all appreciate each other, respect each other, and love each other. So her strength has just been incredible.
Absolutely. And Michael, I'm sure you have a couple of questions for Pastor Bradshaw.
I do. Pastor, thanks for joining us. I'm wondering what you think may be behind this. Is this a case of maybe a kid acting out the hatred that we're seeing on TV and in the news?
I think that plays a part in it. This young man that did this, this is not his first incident. We'll be making some announcements very soon concerning the case and some more pressure we want to be applied to this situation. But I will say is the current climate that we're in, we have seen a spike across the country in the past 4 years of more of these type of crimes, more of these type of situations where hatred and bigotry is involved. And so I think it's so important that little Neveah and other children like her lead out and kind of show us adults how to respect each other. Children are not born racist. They're not born hating each other. That is a taught and learned behavior. And we personally believe the little boy that did this, I don't want to say little boy, the young man that did this rather, we believe that his father and his grandfather also kind of reared him up in this type of understanding and mindset. As I said, this is not his first incident. He's had several violent incidents, specifically at that apartment complex where he said racial things and attacked other children. Unfortunately, little Neveah was just in his arm's way in this particular moment. But this is not his first rodeo with hatred and bigotry. And so I do believe A lot of this is what we're seeing is a reflection of what we're seeing in the media, what we're seeing also with our current president, President Trump, speaking things and sometimes flaming the fires of racism and bigotry by not addressing it head on, but also inciting and saying things that are insensitive to the Black community and to the Latino community.
Okay. Now, Pastor, tell me this. As soon as it happened, Mom was on front line as well. Talk about the courageousness that it takes for Mother Brandi Stewart to also be out here telling the story about what happened to Neveah.
To be honest with you, Brandi is probably having the hardest time out of everyone with little Neveah is still having issues with her memory. But as like a child, most children, they bounce back. But she's still having her struggles. But Brandi, her mother, has been strong, but she's still breaking down and crying. We had a meeting yesterday with the attorney, and even in that meeting, she had several instances where she had to take a break with her breathing and crying because she still can't believe this happened to her child. But her mother has also been a picture of strength, a picture of integrity. And I just commend this family because when the situation first happened, it could have all went a different way. The police department waited 2 whole hours to bring this little boy in, 2 whole hours. And when they did it, Neveah's grandfather was on the scene and Brandi's was on the scene as well. And they were trying to figure out why it was taking so long to apprehend this little boy. And so even in that instance, Brandi, Neveah's mother, showed so much strength and poise. And she's doing things the right way. She wants to work and cooperate with the police department and the district attorney and all those involved. She's not out here advocating violence, but at the same time, she is speaking loud and clear and boldly and saying, we want justice, we want accountability.
Well, Pastor, let me ask you about that. Given the age of the alleged perpetrator, I'm wondering what you think justice for Neveah looks like.
Well, we are in talks now. We want the district attorney to add an additional charge of attempted murder. We think that it is totally inappropriate and quite ridiculous that this child was picked up and then only in the station for less than an hour. It was a turnaround trip. To me, I believe the police department only did that. They only apprehended him to appease the grandfather who was on the scene and to make it appear like they were doing something and to keep things calm, to only release this child within an hour, which is unheard of in these type of situations, such a violent crime. And so we want an attempted murder charge to be stacked up on the charges they're already going to bring up against this little boy. We also want them to reapprehend little Sebastian and take him off house arrest and let him sit in a jail cell for a couple of weeks. Because we personally believe, had this been a Black child, and I've worked with many youth who have been in the system, this would have been a whole different scenario. There wouldn't have been a 2-hour long wait for someone apprehending this child. This child would have been apprehended immediately. And so we want justice, and we want to also set the tone in the future, in future cases like this, that hatred and bigotry will not be tolerated.
Man, Pastor, you brought up a great point, and it's a point that people want to shy away from here in Kansas City, Missouri, and Kansas City, Kansas, but you cannot. If you look at the numbers, the raw numbers, and as you and I know, as Black men growing up in America, the justice system is stacked against Black children. We both know that if there was a Black child who assaulted a young person with a metal pipe, knocked her unconscious, that Black child would probably be in juvenile detention right now until trial. So thanks for pointing that out. I did want to ask you, as you were going through this process with the family, what have you found out about the adult certification process in Kansas? And what have you found out about hate laws in Kansas?
I found out with hate laws in Kansas, I was very disappointed in the fact that with this particular situation, we were informed by the district attorney that they cannot bring up a hate crime against a juvenile, but the judge can, during the sentence process, add on an additional time incarcerated because it's considered a hate crime. And so we're lobbying and trying to get that changed in the future. We are also attacking how kids are documented and treated when they are Black and Latino in the justice system, because like you said earlier, it is a different situation. It's much more, to me, aggressive. And I said this a couple of weeks ago, when you're a Black child or a Black man and you're dealing with the police department, you are guilty until proven innocent. And there is no way in the world This little boy had a knife at first. He came at little Neveah with a knife. She was able to get away from him, and then he came back with a metal pole. There was one particular police officer who saw him with this metal pole and did not stop this little boy, did not apprehend the pole. Had that been a black boy, we all know for a fact he probably would have been arrested right then and there with the pole. It would have been considered a weapon. And so we've got to change this narrative in America. We've got to stop putting mascara on racism and bigotry and face it head on and get some new laws in place, get some things in place that help protect the Black community and Latino community. Because as you said, many times we are targeted and we're proven guilty until proven innocent. And so we're attacking that head on. I have about 7 or 8 meetings next week with several city officials and even some people from across the country who want to help us attack these type of scenarios.
Okay, so let me get this straight. There is no hate crime statute for juveniles in the Kansas, but is there a hate crime statute for adults?
Yes, there are.
Okay.
There are, and we were pleased with that. But unfortunately, in this situation, they can't officially charge him with a hate crime unless they stack it on his sentence.
Right.
So we were a little disappointed about that, but we are excited for this fact. The Bible tells us that all things work together for the good of them who are called according to his purpose. And even though this has been a very negative and a very heinous crime, I think the good that will come out of this is we can all learn from this on both sides of the spectrum. Secondly, we can stop acting like we don't see it and address this head on and get some laws in place, get some legislation passed to ensure we have some hate crime laws for juveniles as well. Because if you research it, there has been a spike in the last 4 years of even with juveniles, of kids dealing with racism and bigotry across the country.
In terms of him being a juvenile, and you say he's 13 now?
Yes.
So what is the cap on the amount of time that if he's adjudicated or found guilty as a juvenile, what is the amount of time that he could potentially serve regardless of the charge and conviction? Is there a cap on how much time a juvenile can serve?
I'm a man that I like to walk in integrity. I don't want to give you a false number, but the last time that I spoke to the district attorney's office with our attorney, the family attorney, I believe if he is convicted, just with the current crime that he's being convicted with now, which is aggravated assault, he'll be in juvenile until he's 18 years old. That is the cap. Now, if we go this up to attempted murder, now we're in a whole different ball game, and this could affect him into his adulthood. And so that's what we're shooting for. We're shooting for aggravated assault on top of attempted murder. And so if he gets both of those, he'll be looking at jail time past being 18 years old, and this will stay on his permanent record. Now, if it stays with just aggravated assault and he's convicted of that, he'll probably serve jail all the way up. He can serve jail up until his 18th birthday, and then it will not go on his permanent record.
Right. Pastor, you know, in Kansas, juvenile records are hard to come by, as they should be. What makes this case, in your eyes, attempted murder?
Because one, he had 2 different weapons. One, he approached her with a knife, and Neveah pushed him away. He left the scene, went back and got a metal pole and came back and never said a word, just hit her across the face and knocked her unconscious. And this is the crazy part. Then he called the police. He was one of the people that called the police and concocted some story that he was attacked. And all the witnesses that were there said that is not true. And so this little boy has a history of being violent, a history of attacking other little children, even in that apartment complex. And so we see a pattern here of violence. And I believe that it was premeditated. Anytime you could leave a scene, come back with a second weapon that you could kill someone with, that shows intent to me and motive to me to harm, to do bodily harm and possibly kill.
Could you go a little more into what instrument was used and the extent of her injuries?
Yeah, so at first, he had a knife. He had a knife, and after Neveah had an exchange. Neveah said, "My black is beautiful. Black lives matter." He approached her with the knife, and she pushed him back. And when she pushed him back, he then left the scene and went to, I think it was a neighbor's house, and got a metal pole, and then came back, never said a word to anyone, and just smacked her across the face. And she was unconscious for about 3 minutes. Now, I want to give you this gruesome scene. When she was unconscious, her two little friends, two little girls, had blood on them as well. There was so much blood gushing out of her face. I mean, it was a gruesome scene. So you could imagine her mother and then her grandfather and then the children seeing this scene, all of them being traumatized, seeing little Neveah literally dying right there, sitting on the street. And I also want to pinpoint as well, the police department did not move. They did not react the way they should have. Her mother told us that she was laying on the ground for minutes until someone finally gave her the attention that she needed. And this is my point. Many times when African Americans deal with the police department, we don't get the benefit of the doubt like little Sebastian did when he was walking around with an assault weapon. We don't get that. Many times we are looked upon as being suspicious, as being guilty. And even when we are the ones who have been assaulted, we are approached aggressive. We are told to calm down. Hey, let's keep it. Let's calm down, which is what they did with his grandfather, with her grandfather. And so we've got to stop this. We respect the police department. We respect those in authority. But at the same time, we want to be treated like decent human beings. And unfortunately, little Neveah's situation has baptized her into racism and bigotry. And now her life will forever be changed.
Right. And for people who are just now joining us, we're speaking with Pastor Terry Bradshaw, who has been working with the family, Neveah Thomas and Brandi Stewart. Can you just give us an update on Neveah and Brandi's whereabouts right now, Pastor?
Well, I'm hoping that they told me they're about 7 minutes away, so I'm hoping they'll be walking through these doors in a second. But little Neveah is doing better. We are still concerned about her having the memory issues. She had a severe concussion. And let me say this, and I think people need to understand this. Had that little boy hit her just a little bit higher towards her temple and not her cheek, she would have probably died instantly or had some very serious problems, even worse than what she has now. She would probably still be in the hospital in a coma. And so we are grateful that we are not planning a funeral, but instead we are planning a walk against racism and bigotry. However, it does not take away how serious this was. Little Neveah she was trying to become a child model, and now she has a permanent scar right here on her cheek, and she is concerned about that. She talks about that all the time. And just giving you a little bit of her background, she's already been bullied before. Very smart young lady, and so she's concerned about going back to school and having that blemish on her face. And so this for her mentally is still something that she's dealing with. Her family has been traumatized. Her mother, as I stated earlier, and her little brother, they are all traumatized. We are traumatized as a pastor. I was just livid when this happened, but she's doing much better. But we are still concerned about her having memory issues and some slight headaches. And so she's still seeing the doctor. I think she has a checkup next week. And so we are continuing to pray for her. I'm asking everyone else to pray for her, but she's doing a lot better.
Okay, and speaking of trauma, you spoke of the witnesses who had blood splattered on them. What kind of outreach have you guys provided for those witnesses?
We provided a lot. I can't speak on too much because there's something coming down the pipeline major.
Okay.
But what I will tell you is we've been a moral support to them as well. We've been in contact with them. We're one of the few churches where we actually have a mental health department, and we believe that mental health is very vital, and it's one of the major issues in the Black and brown community. So long before this even happened, we were already a church that was very aggressive in attacking that. But yes, we've been involved also with the other people who saw this heinous crime and helping them also navigate through this.
Pastor, what's the name?
Go ahead.
I was going to say, as we get Neveah and her mom settled in, can you give us the name of your church and where we can find information on the family's GoFundMe page?
Sure. It's the name of the church is Empowerment Temple. It's in Kansas City, Kansas, 2601 Garfield Avenue, Kansas City, Kansas. We have services at 11 a.m. and Bible study. Sunday 11 a.m. and Bible study Wednesdays at 7 p.m. And we now have I'm gonna have Neveah's mother come and sit in my chair, and little Neveah here as well. And they're going to tell you about the GoFundMe page and move forward with the interview.
Thank you, Pastor.
You're welcome.
Miss Brandi, thank you. Neveah, thank you. I just want to let you guys know we're live. We're streaming to the world. Thank you for joining us. Neveah, thank you, young lady, for joining us. Can you guys hear us okay?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay, Brandi, can you just tell us a little bit about the GoFundMe page that's been set up on behalf of the family in Neveah?
Yeah, so someone, White Rose Casey, actually set it up for me and Neveah. It's to help her with like her medical expenses, to be comfortable throughout this whole process. It's called Neveah Thomas GoFundMe, and I have a lot of pictures posted of her and her process and her scars and stuff like that. And it has actually been really helpful to both of us.
Right. Now, Neveah, I understand that when you went to the dentist to get worked on, that you were surprised with a red carpet. Now you are considered a superhero. Can you tell us a little bit about being awarded by your dentist?
Some of them were very emotional. We took a lot of pictures. It was surprising. I was really happy. I don't like going to the dentist because I don't like getting my teeth done.
Right.
I wasn't happy going there when it first came out, but then it started getting excited when they had told me about everything.
Wow, that's amazing.
Had on their shirts and stuff. It was really nice.
Right. Hey, Neveah, how are you feeling right now? Can you talk to the our viewers and just tell them a little bit how you're feeling?
I'm feeling really good today.
Okay, good.
I had a good day.
Yeah.
I'm not feeling down or my scar doesn't hurt.
Oh, yeah. I see you. You're brave. Can you talk about the love your mom has shown you throughout this?
My mom is showing me lots of love. Like a whole bunch. You would never imagine of how much love.
Hey, Brandi, what has this horrific incident taught you about being a mom and being a mom to a young Black girl in America?
It has taught me to teach my kids on a lot about the history of our color. It has taught me to pray over them because I can't protect them everywhere. Neveah was simply going swimming. She was dropped off 3 o'clock that day. If this happened 7 o'clock that night, we never would imagine this. I mean, I think I kind of worry about her going outside by herself for strangers, but never in this kind of situation with kids, and definitely not with the pole. I don't think I've ever would have expected this phone call, but it has taught me a lot to love on your kid every second, because in that little bit of time, her life could have been taken away from us.
Absolutely. Now, I'm joined today by a colleague, Michael Ryan. Mike, I'm sure you have a couple of questions for Neveah and Brandi.
I do. And before you got here, we talked a lot about the incident and the hate behind it, but I'd like to ask you if you've seen a lot of love afterwards from the community and maybe even from around the country.
Yes, I've seen it all over the world. We have gotten so many cards, so many gifts, so many letters, so much love and support. We love it. Like, it has overwhelmed us and warmed our hearts, because we didn't know, that many people cared. It's usually just me. I have another kid, a son, and it's usually just us. We never have gotten that much love and support, and it has actually helped Neveah out through her trauma. Like, she has been able to feel better. Like, every day that we come home, it's some letters or somebody has sent something, and it warms her heart and it brightens her spirit. And she said, "I'm so happy people love me." And she have kids all over the world sending letters with pictures they have drew, and they're telling her that they love her and they want to be her friend. And it just warms her heart for people to show her the same love that she have always given out.
Are you serious about being from all over the world?
All over the world. I am totally serious. Like, it's so many letters, we can't even respond to everybody, so we try to make videos, and we get like poster cards and hang all the cards on, because it's so much love. It's overwhelming that we can't even respond back to everyone. They sent us necklaces, book bags, just all kinds of stuff. We love it.
Yeah. Hey, Brandi, I'm going to get on a soapbox real quick. Today, my youngest daughter turned 10 years old. She's celebrating birthday number 10. If something happened to her, I would be distraught. Man, woman, or child, somebody come from mine, it's going to be a problem. How have you been able to control that rage as a protective parent?
Yes. It's hard because it's different emotions. It's a roller coaster, because one day you wake up and you're like, I'm totally glad that my child's here. And then the next day you wake up and you're like, I'm picturing her face when I first went and seen her in my head, and it really reminded me of the Emmett Till situation, and her so disfigured. I wake up and I see that face, and it fills me with anger, and then I have to pray and I have to calm down because I have to do it the right way, and I have to stand up for her, because if I don't, then these type of things will happen to more and more kids, or keep happening to her in life, and I cannot save her. So I have to do it the right way to get justice, so this doesn't happen again, and to show her the right way to respond to stuff like this, because
Absolutely.
I'm pretty sure she have woken up in the middle of the night a couple times, and have cried out and asked why this happened to me, and why are people so angry, or why do they not like us because of our color. And I have to explain to her that our people have gone through this for years. So it didn't just start here with you, but it's just kind of more hurtful that at her age she have to experience it. And it hurts me that at her age I have to see it, and I have to explain it to her so early. I thought that she would have to do this fight when she got older, not so much of this young age.
Absolutely. Now, Neveah, I understand, as I was going through and researching for this story, I understand one of the things that you are a champion of is your Black being beautiful. What does being Black mean to you as an 11-year-old girl in Kansas City, Kansas?
Black to me is technically being yourself and following your culture and
Outstanding. Thank you for that. Thank you for that. Well, I tell you what, I know you guys have been on the run for the last 2 to 3 weeks. I know mentally and emotionally, spiritually, you guys have been tested. I want to say thank you for joining us today. We're gonna wish you guys nothing but the best as you continue this journey to recovery, and not only recovery but seeking justice, right?
Yes,
and so,
yes.
my last question to you guys is: in Kansas, what have you learned about the adult certification process and the process to charge a child with a hate crime?
So we have learned so much that we never thought before. So we've found out that there is no hate crime law for children. There is for adults, but it's federal, so you have to take it federal. We have learned so much. It is so difficult. It is so tough, and it kind of feels like that no one cares. But with all the love and support, it definitely shows. And I chose to fight this fight and not sit down doing it, because if I don't stand up for her or for other kids, it's not going to be a change. Even if there's no law for children, no hate crime for children, we're going to make sure that we get the best justice there is. Get him some help, her some help, and every kid, so they don't ever have to go through this some help.
What is your thoughts if this situation was reversed and a 12, 13-year-old Black boy struck a white girl with a metal pipe, and knocked her unconscious? Would that Black child be sitting at home right now under house arrest?
Not at all. That kid would have been detained within 10 to 15 minutes. When I say that we had to argue with the police for them to put him in handcuffs to even think about taking him, it would have been completely different. By the time I would have got to the scene, that kid would have been on the curb already, or inside the police car, or in jail. And that kid would have been in jail all the way up until this point, all the way up until the first court date. There would no way they went in and turned him out and let him home and go on house arrest. Everybody's on house arrest. Everybody gets to stay at home and play their game. It would be completely different. In so many different ways, it would be completely different.
Absolutely.
And we all know that.
Right. Are you guys going to advocate for a change in the juvenile law?
Yes, sir. We absolutely are.
Okay. Well, once again, I'm Toriano Porter, joined today by colleague Michael Ryan. We have a very special guest that we want to say thank you for joining us. 11-year-old Neveah Thomas. We're going to wish you nothing but the best. And Mom, Brandi Stewart. Thank you guys for joining us, and good luck on the road to recovery and justice. Okay, guys?
Thank you guys so much
Thank
for
you.
having us, and we really appreciate everyone's love, concerns, and support. We love it, and we need it all.
Absolutely. Thank you for joining today's edition of Star Opinion Live. Enjoy the rest of the afternoon.
You too. Thank you.
Thank you, guys. Good luck, okay?